by Councilmember Westmoreland, second by Councilmember Shook. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
I have no one signed up for public comment today.
No, Mr. Chair.
We have a presentation today from the Community Access Media Update.
Good morning, council members. Austin Wagner, Deputy Chief of Staff to Mayor Dickens. So here today with hopefully coming towards the conclusion, at least of this process for community access. So wanted to take the time to give you all just a brief update. There should have been a kind of fact sheet and sort of FAQs that were passed out to you all. That kind of gives a background of where we are. We're excited at the progress that's been made. Dr. Simama has been leading this effort, and first and foremost want to give that appreciation and thanks to him for his guidance and leadership throughout all of this. But gone from beginning of this year and reopening the channel and allowing access, and people can put programming on there. So that's been running. Channel 24 is not in the dark, is up and available for people to have their content and then consume that content from whoever puts those things up there. We've opened up a makerspace at 2 Peachtree, which a few of you I know were at that ribbon cutting. We're very excited that that's being utilized both in person and then the staff that are being used virtually as well for other technical assistance, and just trying to continue to move along. The next times that you'll probably hear from us will be connected to some legislation. So we're getting some things drafted now, and hopefully we'll be able to introduce for the next meeting related to some the reformulation of the oversight board and ensuring that we get that set up in the appropriate way. And then hopefully soon after with an authorization to enter into an agreement with a permanent vendor for an operator for the channel. So we're very excited about the conversations that are happening there. We won't go into too many details on those yet while we're still negotiating those, but think that we're in a really, really good spot with it. We're excited about what people have presented, what the options are, and where we think we can progress to with community access. So it's been a journey for sure, to say the least, but I think an appropriate one to get us to the point where we're going to be proud of what comes next and get us in kind of this modern new generation for what public access should look like. With that, I'll stop talking. I'm going to bring up Dr. Simama to give just a better, well-rounded update that'll kind of go through some of that fact sheet and everything else that's there. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Simama, who's been leading this effort.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Wagner. And it's good to be here also with our Chief Communication Officer and our great intern, Cheyenne, who just graduated from Clayton State University. So I think she deserves acknowledgement for making it through college, and now she's ready to start her career in communication, hopefully with the community television program, but if not, maybe you all have some positions open in communication, and the mayor's office are here, but I'm recruiting for her because I know she's a fine student. I was waiting for this day to come where you really don't need me here. I mean, my work is done. Mr. Wagner has given you an outline of kind of where things are. I'm just here to say hello and thank you all for giving me an opportunity to spend not quite a year, but the better part of a year in getting this program up and running. And the thing I will say is that the program is up and running and is open for business, and we can do things today that we could not have done this time last year. We're not trying to duplicate the program that I had in 1980 when we had 25 or 30 people. Right now we have opened the channel. There's plenty of channel time. I am told we have an automated system so you can upload your program from home. More and more people are finding out about how to do that. If they don't know how to do it, they can contact our facilitator and he will walk them through it, or they can come to the community makerspace and have it done. But most people seem to be able to do it on their own. So one of my goals when I first started was to get that channel open again. And I'm happy to say today, as Mr. Wagner has said, it's open, and it's been open since December of 2024, and certainly by January of 2025. The channel had the full capacity for any citizen with a program who wanted to be on Channel 24 to upload that program. And that's an accomplishment for the city and a promise kept. The second thing that we wanted to do, and this was at the urging and the suggestion of some former community access producers, to find us a maker space, somewhere where we can go in and start making programs, producing programs, studio space, get some equipment in there, get that facility up and running. And we looked at a number of different options, but on a temporary interim basis, it was decided that two Peachtree was what we could get up and running the quickest. So that's up now, fully running, fully operating. We all know it's part of a 40-story building with plenty of room for a prop storage, meeting space. So you don't have to just, and producers are not just having to use the maker space for everything they want to do. If there's a need for additional space, there's plenty of space at this particular point at 2 Peachtree. Thus far, we've had no complaints at all. People are coming into the facility more and more each week. Those who don't want to come into the studio are doing video conferencing to plan their programs and to discuss their program ideas. Workshops are now not just done in the facility, but some of the workshops are done virtually. So it's a new kind of concept that takes in consideration the virtual environment that we're in now, where it's not like the days where everything had to take place in the maker space or the studio space. And I'm happy to report that citizens of Atlanta are utilizing a variety of different methods to get their programs, ideas discussed and planned and produced. And it's not all happening in the studio space, but some of it's happening in the virtual space. You also heard Mr. Wagner say that, and you can see on the outline I handed out, that on June the 16th, I believe that law and the mayor's office will have legislation ready to go through your process for setting up an oversight board. We used to have a cable television advisory board when I was running Access. That was exactly that. It was an oversight board. So if residents felt they were denied channel time improperly, if they felt they were denied access to the facilities, if they felt the policies that the program was supposed to adhere to were being violated in some way, they didn't come and bug you guys. They went to the Cable Television Advisory Board that was set up to mediate, investigate complaints and things like that. We had some complaints, but we didn't have a whole lot of complaints. And I don't anticipate that the advisory board would be overwhelmed with complaints and concerns. I mean, some complaints are serious. Let me give you an example. The Klan brought a series of programs to our facility to have us aired on the cable channel. And I was the director, and obviously the programming was distasteful. And initially, we denied the programming on the grounds that we thought that it could incite violence, against people of color, Jewish people, etc. They went into Superior Court, and we were required to air the program. Went through the CATV Advisory Board, they backed us, then it went to Superior Court. We were required to put that program on. That's an extraordinary kind of controversy. I mean, most of the issues that community people bring to you would be something like, we wanted 7 o'clock on Saturday night, and some other program has had it for 6 months, we think we're entitled to 7 o'clock on Saturday. Those are the types of complaints that you're generally going to get. But again, they should not be burdening elected officials and city council members. That will be the purpose of this oversight board. We're also asking this oversight board to stay abreast of new developments within this field, and on an annual basis, make a report to City Council, making any recommendations for how to improve the program. And we're asking this oversight board to also conduct a public hearing a year. I think that's just important to have one a year. So that board will be created by the mayor and the city council. You all will have input in the composition of that board if my proposal is accepted. And the legislation is being worked on now within the mayor's office and the law department. And it is my hope that you will have it before you. I believe you will at your next council meeting. And if my date here is correct, that will be June 16th, 2025, your next city council meeting. And then the last thing is the identification or the conclusion of the discussions with several final organizations that are extremely capable, well-endowed, well-experienced, experience not only in operating production and training programs and facilities, but also experience in community outreach and community engagement, and most importantly, in raising lots of money, millions and millions of dollars. So I'm not here today to talk to you about the budgetary requirements for this operation. The recommendations were made from the Blue Ribbon Committee for your consideration. That's up to you and the mayor to decide that. But the good thing is that part of what we're looking for in identifying a permanent operator is an entity that has a demonstrated track record of raising millions of dollars. And I am not also unmindful, Councilperson Collins, of the recommendation of partnering with the WPBA telecommunication collaborative, and I've reached out to the head of that organization to begin discussions there. But inherent in the concept of the permanent operator is several things, and I just want to mention them, and then I'm going to take my seat. The philosophical underpinnings of community access must be adhered to no matter who operates it. So it's in the city's interest to make sure you clearly define, here's our operating philosophy, principles of first come, first serve, principles of democracy, freedom of speech. All of these kind of matters are going to be part of the agreement that whoever accepts the operation will have to adhere to, because that's always been part of community access television in Atlanta, and it's always been part of it in the nation. But the other thing, specifically in reference to organizations like the participation of maybe Clark Atlanta University's Media Arts Department, or WPBA and the school systems, telecommunications collaborative, is the concept that we're stronger, and it will be in the public interest to have whatever entity that's ultimately operating open to collaboration. So we specifically are having those discussions about what does collaboration look like, whether or not part of the budget's going to be set aside to ensure collaboration, because it's a lot easier to make collaboration work if there's some resources put behind it. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we believe that we're going to come up with a collaborative model that includes the entire community, includes the private sector that wants to participate, community-based organizations that want to participate, the neighborhood planning units that want to participate, civic associations that want to participate, and Councilman Lewis, last and final but not least, and this is something that I credit you a lot, and also Councilperson Boone. The vision that we're discussing now with the entity that we believe is going to work is going to be 2 Peachtree on initially on a permanent basis, but additional production facilities that the new entity will bring that are already set up, already equipped, already there, already available for the public to come in. But in addition to that, we're in discussions, I just had a discussion yesterday with Commissioner Cutler, your Commissioner of Recreation. And this is what he wants with our urgent, and we sent him a member of our Blue Ribbon Committee who's an expert on this. He wants to link up specific recreation centers to the main hub, where there will be some capability of going to a city recreation center, doing a podcast, doing a video cast, doing some type of programming, and you can directly link from the recreation center to the main hub, the programming you're doing. Now, if you just think about that for a minute, you've got your you got a structure that accommodates community-based organizations. You got a structure that accommodates higher education institutions and K through 12 that have production capability, production facilities, all paid for by the public already. And then on top of that, you got your network of recreation centers that do a lot of different things, but have computer and digital capability. And now the Parks Department is looking at ways to supplement that with relevant equipment and connectivity to the main hub. So what you've basically done is you've organized the whole city in a citywide network that pulls together your social services institutions, your community-based organizations, your recreational organizations, your educational organizations. We've never seen that before in Atlanta. And with the right leadership and the right oversight, that can happen. So I probably will be gone somewhere when all this is fully realized, but I'll be here. But this might very well be my last presentation before you. So thank you all very much for allowing me to be involved. And I will be here. I won't say goodbye. Let's just say until we meet again. I'm willing now to answer any questions you might have that was not covered in the presentation. Or even if it was covered in the presentation, I'm willing to elaborate if you have any comments or questions.
And thank you, Dr. Simama. We have a questions and comments from
Yes, I just would like to thank you for the institutional knowledge that you brought to this project, the many months and hours that you spent making sure that this was a first-class, first-rated program for the citizens of Atlanta. At this point, we have so many very happy citizens that are looking forward to programming their own television shows and getting words out about community meetings on that channel. And we just appreciate your vision and your team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Collins.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I do have a couple of questions, and I was listening in as I was running a few minutes late, so my apologies, but I don't know if this information had been clarified. So on the document that you gave us on but the number 9, it says the city owes public access from past underfunding, and that this issue that the BRC, the board, the Blue Ribbon Committee didn't look at the issue, but it's something that we should have audited. Can you explain more about that?
Well, yes, public access has been in existence since 1980. That's a long time. And, our Blue Ribbon Committee obviously didn't have the ability to go back and audit the city budget. We don't have the authority or anything to go back and audit the city budget all the way back to 1980 to look at where the cable money and all the access fees, where they went to whom, and et cetera. And that's a very sophisticated, expensive kind of assessment, and if the city chooses to do that, I'm only saying that that would be something that you would need to undertake because it's way beyond the scope of what we were looking at. I was involved with the franchise agreement as both the director of the program, but also inside the city as the chief communication officer who had oversight over all this. I know we did an audit back when I was there, which was around 2000, something like that. And we were able to find some shortcomings, and we were able to reconcile that right then and there. But I don't know what has been done since the year 2000. I mean, that's 25 years ago. And there may have been other audits done and things of that nature. But I just wanted to make it clear that we had not been able to do that. The other thing that complicates, we didn't have the capacity to do that. It wasn't part of our scope either. But the other thing, too, is that since the last 20 years, the FCC and the federal government has taken so much authority away from local government and regulating cable. A lot of it's moved up to the state level, and a lot of it's moved up to the federal level. We don't have the leverage that we had back then. But even within that history, that legislative history, what has happened nationally, conducting an audit of the cable company, the fees they're paying, and making an effort to look at where those fees have gone is certainly something that you should consider doing at some point. But I don't want to conflate that with this, because I think it will be long, expensive, and then I don't think at the end of the day that we're going to come up with anything that says like the city owes the community access $2 million or $10 million. I'm not convinced you'll come up with something that specific. But if you choose to do it, certainly we did it. We've done it before, and that might be in order at a certain time. But I wouldn't conflate it with this.
Okay, yeah, that's why I was just asking for clarity, because I mean,
probably shouldn't have put it in.
Were you? Could we, yeah.
It's not my fault.
No, you're fine. I just was asking a question for that very reason. I do know it opens up a lot of conversations in terms of regulatory practices and funding, but then also, we have Channel 26 and some of those other pieces. So that's why I asked. And then my second question, just looking on the other side of the document, the proposed timeline you have for June 16th and then August 4th. I take it that this is legislation that is already underway, that it's been discussed, that is slated to come before us for consideration and approval.
That is, certainly the June 6th legislation is in the hands of the mayor's office and the law department. In terms of the legislation that would be necessary to enact an agreement with a third-party operator, that hasn't fully taken form yet because we're in late stage discussions. But structurally, I kind of know what I think is going to. Structurally, I kind of have an idea in my head, but I'm not a lawyer, so clearly your legal people have to put the document that comes before y'all in final form and in legal form. But it clearly will identify responsibilities of the city, responsibilities of the third world entity, responsibilities for fundraising, responsibilities to assess and to provide ongoing assessments to the city and to this community or oversight board, length of the agreement, et cetera, et cetera. Those kinds of things will be in the final agreement. And what form what form you all take, you'll have a couple options, but I'm sure that both purchasing, the mayor's office, and legal will give you the options. But the content of that agreement, we're discussing, we're having clear discussions right now. For example, we're asking entities, are you committed to collaboration? And if you do, what does that look like? What does your community engagement look like? How do you incorporate community engagement? What level of director are you looking at? Are you looking at a coordinator? You're looking at a manager? You're looking at a director? I'm recommending that the city require that this be a national search for a director who's done this before, who knows what they're doing, who has a track record. Whatever entity, I want them to have somebody that knows what they're doing and can hit the ground running. All of these are points that are being discussed and being negotiated, and ultimately it's up to you all in the city to decide what gets in the final agreement, but I'm making my recommendations.
And then my last question is just the understanding of the permanent, to your point, where you're asking, what you just mentioned in terms of a national search for this, for the permanent operator. You also, it's also stated that, I guess there's a concern that any permanent operator other than a nonprofit community control entity might censor sensitive content on the channel. So my question is, what is the, I guess the hope or intent for the commission or the, in this space of recruiting a permanent operator and not tying our hands to certain qualifications when we understand what public access market looks like now. So with a nonprofit entity, there, I mean, I'm quite sure there's a fundraising goal, and we see cuts federally too. We see what NPR is going through now, and the federal cut, the federal funding cuts on that end. So just want to hear more in terms of insight of what the commission feels would kind of be a qualified permanent operator when you have just kind of this conflicting piece.
Good question, Commissioner Collins. Number one, I'm not talking about a national search for an operator. I don't think you can have an operator from New York or New Jersey or California running this. It needs to be a local entity, but I'm saying a national search for the executive director, the person who heads it up. And then the part, I'm sorry, would you just repeat a little bit about the part about there was a second part of the question
Yes.
that dealt with, repeat that for me.
Yep, so for the permanent operator, number 8, is stated that, I guess, the concern of any permanent operator other than a nonprofit entity might censor sensitive information. So just wanted to kind of hear more of the thought process or the intent of the commission in choosing a permanent operator when there's a possibility of limited funding, access to funding, things to that nature.
Got it. Another brilliant question. Number one, first of all, I'm not recommending any operator other than a not-for-profit operator.
Okay.
This is a not-for-profit initiative, and we should, in my view, we shouldn't do for-profit. So we're looking for nonprofits. You all have tried for-profits before, and that did not work out very well at all. So I really think this needs to be a non-profit entity. I think as it relates to possible censorship of content, I think you handle that in your agreement. Generally, there's 5 or 6 things that you cannot do on a community access channel that's part of the FCC, and it's embraced by community access operation centers all over the nation. I'm recommending you all write that into the agreement. You say that these are the program content areas that cannot be censored. And when I was there, I was called LOAF, and a LOAF stood for something: lottery, advertising, fundraising, a couple other things, but we had this acronym, and those were things you can do: defamation of character and all that, obscenity. But remember, these things like obscenity is legal. I mean, you're a lawyer, it means something legal, so it's not just that it offends me. It needs to be legally obscene, and there are cases where we thought something was obscene. We kept it off the channel. They took it into court, and we had to put it on the channel. But at least people need to know. So the thing that people are concerned about is political criticism. For example, if an entity is operating the program and the executive director, somebody produces a program that's critical of the executive director, can the executive director keep that person off the program, off the channel? And the answer is absolutely not. And I can tell you, the director of the program will be criticized. I remember when on the American Music Show, they had me on the show criticizing me. And I laugh it off and keep going. But, you know, they will speak truth to power, and the whole concept is to give people a voice and not to mute the voice and not to do some of the chilling things that are occurring in our country right now to chill protests, to chill the First Amendment rights, the rights of assemble and all that. Community access is to enhance that, not to choke it down. So you all as a city, if you accept my recommendation, will be clear on the philosophy and the policies that you want to see whoever operates adhere to, and you'll put all that into the agreement. That'll be in an agreement.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Simama. I appreciate it.
Okay, I hope I
Yeah,
answered the
absolutely.
question. Thank
Yep,
you.
that's great. Thank you. I yield, Mr. Chair.
And thank you for touching on the censorship. I was actually going to ask that. As a Black Lives Matter civil rights leader, I'm always concerned about making sure that people are not being censored. I have a few questions around this. And we'll go in no particular order, but start with number 5. The community spaces. I know we were looking at community spaces, and I know it's the future where we just talked about making sure we go into the recreation centers, but on day one, I knew that the best way to get this out to the constituents or people of the city are in what we've already designed, community centers that are already all around the center. They already have spaces in them. I'm a little disappointed based on seeing these spaces that are there, because as chair of the committee, the moment I took the realm, I said we were going to get this done while I'm chair of this committee. I said Roselle Fan, John Burdine, Pittman Park, and those aren't on here. So do you know if they looked into Roselle Fan, John Burdine, Pittman Park?
Well, I know Burdine was looked into. I can remember that in my head. The other ones, we would have to check and see. But believe me, we looked at the Arts Center over on. We looked at all of the community recreation centers, and we worked through the commissioner's office for that, because there were times when staff thought there was space and staff wanted us there, and then we'd get excited about moving there, only to be told at some point that that space is for other purposes. So as it relates to linking in community centers and community recreation centers, we're going to need the mayor and the city council working closely on that, because we were told that there weren't. And my desire would have been clearly to open up the first one in a community rec center, because we did that when we did the community technology initiative all around the city. We used nothing but recreation centers and community centers. It was an excellent program. We had a whole network of it. Commissioner Boone remembers that, because some of the equipment in some of these rooms are still set up now. So we did try, but here's the good thing about it. The commissioner I spoke with yesterday is looking to identify facilities that can connect to the main hub. I think it's in order to have a conversation with the commissioner. So when we get excited about going to a certain level, we don't get told at some point that the space has already been pre-identified for something else.
Okay. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. And I'm thinking about it because I know South Atlanta High School has one, Humphreys Elementary School has one, and we have community centers throughout my community. Mothers Against Gang Violence have one, and my office space on Cleveland Avenue behind the barbershop, we even have a space you can go in and podcast at. So it's not as difficult, and you don't need as much room comparing, looking
right.
at South Atlanta, looking at Thurl High School, looking at Mothers Against Gang Violence, even my 900 square foot building, having a space where people can come and podcast and people actually use it. And so making sure that we're looking at our recreation centers, you and I are on the same page. And
Councilman, could you and myself and whoever else make a visit there? Because I'm going to be here to at least the end of the month, and I'd love to be able, if there's another place that we can identify, I would love to be able to look at that and know that we can do it, because I've been told in the past that these places were available, then we'd go over there, and then we were told they were not available.
And definitely when you get on, you know, with the school system, with APS, you got to have that conversation with South Atlanta, Thurl, because those music tech programs there are embedded in grant functions too. So you don't, you know, I would say, Dr. Simama, to your point, if there is a conversation of what collaborative spaces look like, definitely making sure APS leadership is at the table before we just, you know, try to commit another entity to something without really having those conversations. Yeah.
so agreed, those schools are there as well.
Okay,
So
okay.
the community access TV, I'm actually trying to use it right now. As you know, we reached out. We are not just, this is not just something we are talking about doing. In my district right now, a organization reached out that are trying to use it for the community healing tour. And that's a Maranatha Seventh-day Adventist Church, and they've been working directly with you.
Great.
And so some of the capabilities that are there, I wish there were more. Right now.
But I hope we're
already-
able to do that one.
You'll be able to do it, but I wish that there was more. I've already had more dreams for what this space could do, and I don't think that that's why I want to see the funding mechanism for it. Because if we're able to do this at the high schools, if we're able to move around as city council, and we're able to do it in the small spaces in my community, there has to be a way that community access television can do what I want it to do at this event. And so, and at all these types of events, I know we're going to receive the training, but I want to know the
When you
funding.
said moving around, you meant moving funding around to be able to
No.
have greater capacity?
Moving people up, making sure that the cameras, making sure that the training, making sure they have a person that's staffing that can come out to events. Because myself and Councilmember Boone and Councilmember Collins, we have events together, but we also at the same time on the same days have events across the city. And we will probably want them all to be seen, and not just us, we have community members who want this access. So I'm hoping that this can grow fast to meet these needs. And if it's not going to be in a recreation center, it has to grow from inside to meet the needs.
And by the way, just quickly, I don't want to take up your time. Any group of 10, 12, 20 seniors, community people, we're prepared to train them right now to do this. So you all know your districts better than anyone. Get a group of a half a dozen, 12, 15, 20 people. We get them trained on Saturday. And then you'll have a reservoir of talent and trained community people who can help cover these events. Just let me know.
Thank you. We have some folks that begin training right now. You've already put us in that process with Nicole Jones in my office and the folks working with you. I just want to make sure that we know that I already see their room being ways to grow. I'm happy where we are. Thank you so much for getting us where we are, Dr. Simama, but there's so much more to grow, so much more growth there, because I want to look better than, if we have the new improved thing that everybody across the world is looking at, let's make sure that it's funded the right way. Let's make sure that it's funded the right way. So let me ask you, as you leave, do you feel that you have, I'm going to ask, can I ask the mayor's office? I apologize. And Dr. Simama, I need you to be there with me for this. I apologize because I know you put it together, and I know 2 years ago when I got this seat, I said I was going to get this done. I'm happy we got it done.
Yeah.
But to get it done the right way, to make sure that the right investments are in it. And so do we feel that we have the funding to do what Councilmember Boone and Councilmember Lewis, because I know me and you the same millennials, we're looking at it and you know what I want to do with this. So do you think that the funding is there for this?
I think with the right partner, right? So the conversations that we've been having, budget has been part of that and what they think they need. Some of that's going to be resources that they might be able to bring to the table as well. And then a lot of this too, we all know our current funding situation, right? Both from what's federal support, what our budget currently is in the city. The commitment that's also happening as part of this is working together from the mayor's office and whoever this entity is going to be to go out and also find additional resources, whether that is something that we move from some city resources directly, or there's partners that we can have. We've got a lot of corporations and organizations, foundations that are interested in things like this. And we want to leverage that as well. You know, as the mayor always says, it's a group project, and it's not just words. Like, we go out and work with folks that are interested in these things as well, and they can help assist to make sure that this is everything that we want it to be. So I'm confident that we can get to the place that we want to. And to your question about growth, right? We're in alignment, right? We want to grow this as well. The first step is finding this partner to start operating, and knowing that it won't be able to just snap the fingers and all of a sudden it's this, grand scale that we want it to be, right? It's going to take time to work with them. It's going to take city support. It's going to take working with the commissioners and finding the right spaces, right? The people are committed to this. I know we've talked with Commissioner Cutler together about what rec spaces are available, what things there are. Some places did have original plans already that were, we couldn't go in right away. And we also wanted to make sure that the space that we went into to begin with, right, the 2 Peachtree space, the maker space, was large enough to accommodate and do the things that we wanted to do for that first space. Right? That doesn't preclude us going into these other spaces, doesn't preclude us from going into rec centers, trying to work with APS to figure out if there's partnerships there, right? We want to partner with as many of the community organizations as we can, both our rec centers, APS, other entities that might have space, universities, schools, whatever we can do, right? But finding that first thing, getting that first domino to drop, right? It's that first little, you've seen those, the videos, right? It's like a little domino that drops first, right? And then we can start getting the bigger dominoes and the bigger ones as we continue to move on and go down the road. That's our plan here, right? This is step one. And then we can continue on and keep moving, but we got to get through that first step first.
And I'm with you on that, and I truly appreciate you, but the goal is to make sure that, just like any other nonprofit, make sure we stand it up. Make sure that it's the initial funding
Right.
makes it a strong nonprofit. So thank you again for this presentation. Brother Austin, thank you for getting this through. Truly thankful for you for taking grabbing this bull and walking it down. Thank you for this. Thank you to the administration and Dr. Simama as well. I hope that we have you around as a consultant to keep pushing this forward.
We won't let them leave so easily, but no, many thanks have to go to the team, and I appreciate you, council member, appreciate the rest of the council members on the committee here. It's been a joint effort for sure, but I have to say, I think Dr. Simama has done the lion's share of the work here, and we greatly appreciate everything he's brought to the table, his knowledge, his effort, going above and beyond, always coming down here and presenting to you all when requested as well. So we really appreciate him and the team of the Mayor's Office of Communications, the Chief Communications Officer, Shania Faison, and others who have really done all of this. I know I stand up here and kick off the meetings and do all of that, but it's really these folks who have really made it happen. So I appreciate your thanks, but we can definitely give it to them as well.
Thank you. You can go back and use your egg a little bit, Dr. Simama. And if any other thing from
the big green egg.
big green egg, I apologize. Any other questions from my colleagues? Okay. Thank you again, Austin.
All right. Thank you all. We really appreciate it. We're excited for this.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, can you sound the first reads, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. This takes us to our consent agenda, Section G, ordinance for first reading. Item number 1, 25-0-1347, an ordinance by City Utilities Committee authorizing Chief Financial Officer to amend the FY 2025 Water and Wastewater Renewal and Extension Fund budget in amount of $17,500,000.00 to transfer funds from watershed reserves for appropriation to add funds to the annual plant maintenance, major mechanical repairs and services projects, and for other purposes. This takes us to our regular agenda, Section H, ordinance for second reading. Item number 2, 25-0-1326. An ordinance by City Utilities Committee waiving Part 2, Chapter 2, Article 10, Division 4 of the Atlanta City Code to authorize the mayor or his designee to exercise the first renewal option for agreement number listed herein, bill printing services with DataMex Incorporated on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for a term of 1 year, retroactively effective from January 27, 2025 through January 26, 2026, an amount not to exceed $750,000.00, subject to and expressly contingent upon the adoption of the fiscal year 2026 budget, to authorize the mayor or his designee to ratify services rendered in connection with the agreement retroactively effective beginning January 27, 2025 through the exercise of the first renewal option. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund department, organization, and account number listed herein and for the purposes